All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another episode of Project Creation. We are back, and we are talking about animal husbandry.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
What do you think about animal husbandry, dude?
Marrying animals is awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, that's not what we're talking about.
I mean, you technically can marry an animal, depending on what state you're from. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, dude. So, animal husbandry is like such a diverse and robust topic, and it's so new. I feel to MMOs and the whole like
mhm,
idea of it. Have you ever like
right.
played a game with this type of system or any type of system relating to breeding
I
animals?
have.
Yeah.
I have. I'm playing one right now.
Okay.
I've talked about it
Not
several
AOC,
times.
not AOC right now.
No, not
Okay.
AOC. No, no.
Okay.
Worm Online. I've talked about it before.
Okay.
That
Hmm.
old MMO. It
Right.
has a thoroughly robust
Right.
um, animal husbandry system where you go
Right.
out into the wild and you get multiple animals and you breed them together, and bred animals are better than wild animals, and then they get certain traits, and then if you get multiple parents with the same trait, they have a high possibility of passing it on to children, and like you
That's
can
so
breed
cool.
like super fast horses or whatever.
Hmm.
So yes, I have played with a system like that, and it is very cool, and I'm it's one of the things I'm hyped about
Thanks
for
for the file,
Ashes
Def.
creation for sure.
Yeah. Dude, it's just like the fact that you can just breed out traits is like such a cool idea, and trying to
Uh-huh.
refine the line and lineage to
You're
them
right.
is
Hmm.
just like monumental to me. So like because like we have like a pretty high-end breeding dog that we do that we set up with the breeder and stuff like that, and they've been telling me they've been like cryo freezing all their sperms and all that stuff
Right, right.
just to get the best lineage, and traits out of the dog, color, whatever it being. But yeah, dude, that's just such a like different system, and I'm just happy that they're thinking of that shit. I don't know, like
Right.
it's just
Right.
it's random, but like it took the internet and the game by storm, and everybody that wants to play the game wants to do that. I feel at least.
It seems like I can hardly have a conversation with somebody about this game without them being like, and what's with this animal husbandry stuff, man? That's pretty cool, you know? And
Yeah,
so
it.
yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting
Mhm.
system seeing how that works. And I definitely feel like the people who invest a lot of their early time into it and really
Mm.
go after it will probably be uh, influential people throughout the game, because you're going to
Oh,
need
right.
the mounts and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, just like
especially if you're pulling the caravans.
yeah, especially pulling the caravans and just like the uniqueness behind it. Like people breeding these special mounts and like them being so rare or whatever traits that they got, and it's minor differences in cosmetic, like the face and the profile of just like the nose is different from a different one, and that can be like a huge thing, and
Hmm.
and means so much more, I guess, in stature and everything that goes into it. um, so just a little bit of quick information regarding animal husbandry is animals found through taming can be bred to discover lesser known species variants with untold powers and abilities. Stephen goes on to say many animals that can be tamed and bred through the animal husbandry profession can be found in herds across the land in Vera. So that's like going to be, I guess, the resource plot is going to be a herd.
A herd. Okay.
Kind of like
Okay.
how you're Indian and you're hunting some buffalo.
Right. Right.
These
I
herds.
just want to tell you that
Go ahead.
before you keep going, I want to tell you that I knew we were going to be doing this episode on animal husbandry.
Mhm.
I knew it was, for months we've
It was
been kind
coming.
of thinking
Hmm.
about it.
Hmm.
And so I have not looked into it. Like I was like, I don't want to know anything about
Hmm.
animal husbandry other than it's in the game. So I've been saving it for this podcast. So I don't know Jack. So
Right.
that right off the bat, that's really cool that they make the node, the resource node be a herd. It's a clever way of doing that.
I mean, it's witty, but it makes sense. I feel,
Yeah,
so, and it's
yeah,
cool.
it
Like
does.
you could see like a pack of, you know, um, striders or something out in the wilderness, and you're like, okay, I
Hmm.
want to, I want to mix one of them with like
Right.
a bear, and let's see what we get.
Right. Right. Yeah. Who
Yeah.
knows what you're gonna get?
Def says, how important will tamers be opposed from breeders? Well, the whole system between breeders and tamers are split. So breeding is one profession, and we'll get into it. And then taming an animal is one profession. So the gathering part of it would be a taming one. And then the crafting part of it would be like the breeding one. And then that will take place.
What about
in stables?
Is there a processing part?
Well, they kind of go on to say like cosmetically, like as a youngling, like the animal has like a youngling state, like a baby state, and like that's where you can kind of create the look of the animal. It's like a mini character creator. Okay. We'll get into it, but I mean, it's pretty cool, and it's a like semi complex, and it kind of relates to the character creation in the actual game. Husbandry is processing. Oh yeah. So I guess husbandry would be.
There is no crafting one.
Yeah. So
okay, that's interesting.
I guess that kind of just wraps entwined with each other. You know, you're kind of crafting it based on its youngling state because you're doing it cosmetically. But the processing, I guess, would be actually like breeding the two animals. So, and then it goes down to say, so these herds represent gatherable resources of sorts that masters of animal husbandry profession may then use to discover lesser known species variants with untold powers and abilities. Mounts play a large role in Ashes of Creation, and animals like a horse are an early gateway into unlimited possibilities that await those skilled in the arts of husbandry. So kind of the horse is going to be the entry level animal, I guess.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, so that's like common. I mean, when you go to actually buy a mount in game and go to the store, the horse is usually the cheapest thing you can buy, you know. Right. I think it was like 50 gold, I want to say, on the test server. So whether you could take that, breed it with a different horse, or whatever the entry level part of it is to start with. Mm-hmm. And then it goes on to say taming will be a gathering profession. So as we were talking about before, combat proficiency may be required in order to tame beasts. This be meaning you're going to have to fight the beast in order to tame them. Or like I'm guessing to get them to a hurt state to where you can...
below a certain percentage.
Yeah, below a certain percentage before you can like actually like throw a rope around them and actually like, you know, round them up like a cowboy, you know. That's what I get.
Yeah. There's several games where they have that's the kind of the mechanic for taming or capturing or whatever is, you know, get it below 25% and then
that's what I'm thinking. 25% is like probably the number that they're going to be going for. Hicks goes on to say, I was under the impression that the processing animal husbandry was for hatching eggs and for temporary flying mounts. Yeah, so we'll go into the rare mounts too, but basically rare mounts aren't going to be breedable because you can't like mix a flying mount with a horse and then you get a new flying mount, and then you could just sell them all over, and then it defeats the purpose of only keeping a limited amount of number on the actual.
Exactly.
But the eggs can be sold on the market, so that's kind of cool too. So you can I'm guessing you can raise them and then hatch them, and then that's what you can use. And I don't know if it's going to be a certificate by then or what's going to be.
I thought that once it was hatched, the person who interacted with it automatically imprinted on it or bonded with it or something. So you may have to actually sell the egg itself. I don't know, but the system is very neat. And I was watching Steven talk about it not too long ago, and he was saying that given the respawn rates of the world bosses that potentially can drop those, you know, there's not going to be it's not like you can just farm that world boss over and over and over again and have lots of flying mounts. There's going to be a very limited number of those mounts on the server at any given time. So that's a pretty neat system.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if you kill an elder dragon and he drops an egg, that's probably more rare than the actual gear that you're going to be able to get, you know, cause that you can grind over and over and over again. Gloomberg goes on to say, good evening, guys. Thanks, Gloomberg. Fun to see you live. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, definitely. Thanks for showing up.
You guys are putting out good stuff. Keep it up. Your YouTube videos deserve more views. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I also agree, but I don't like to push the system, you know. Zillion's always telling me like you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this. I'm like,
you need to do better titles, man. You
yeah,
need better thumbnails.
yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
always trying to, and he's like, yeah, whatever. That's funny.
I just like to talk about the game. That's like bottom line. Steven said it
Right.
wasn't going for looks, but higher animal husbandry would have the temp amount last longer.
Last longer.
Yeah, believe that we talked about it in the Asmongold interview. Yeah, that could be something. I mean, hopefully it does. Like, I feel like the whole rare mounts and flying mounts should be like a monumental thing. And when you get one, the only way you can lose it is if you kill them on it or you kill the actual mount rather than a time expiring thing.
At a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if people would use it.
People would use it for travel only and never bring it out in combat.
Yeah.
Probably. So then you don't want to do that. I could see how you.
Yeah. You can game that a little bit, but like I could even see like people hunting people on the flying mounts, you know, and like maybe there's a reward for them or something through the bounty system. It could be interesting.
What's going on, Emo?
What's going on, guys? How's it going?
Yeah.
Yeah, so genetic lines react to the type of mount or creature that is being captured or tamed. So within the actual animal, they're going to have a genetic line imprinted on them. And then that kind of governs the way their traits are going to be made up and then what ones you're going to be able to kind of discover and get. And there's a little, and we'll go into it, but there's a little bit of RNG when it comes to the traits and stuff like that, which I really like because that's what makes it. Yeah, I feel like it should because like breeding is RNG. You know, if you ever bred anything, yeah, it is. And the fact that they're implementing that is just so cool.
All I know about bread is that I like it, you know. Rolls, roast, you know, it don't matter, man. I like bread. That's the only thing I know about bread.
My camera's going in now. Yeah. Dude, I fucking love bread, man. So what's your thoughts on how taming is its own profession? Do you like how players will need to be good at combat to tame? And then what type of animals will players do you think will want to mainly tame?
Oh my God,
it's a
46 questions.
It's a 3-part question, guys.
Every one of those is a 10-minute video on YouTube.
Yeah. Facts.
I love the idea of having the taming and the breeding be separate. Be separate part of the artisan system. And that's something that I've just been harping on for in like every video and every podcast, that it's just forcing players to interact with one another. I love every time that they try to either force the conflict or the cooperation between players. So I love that. As far as the needing combat to tame, I mean, that's fine. That's okay. Fine. That's part of the system. Right. I would imagine that there's going to be iron ore or some special ore types that are down deep in some dungeons and stuff that you're going to need combat to get to that too.
Oh, of course.
And if not, I'll be disappointed. So I just kind of assume if you're going to be a gatherer, you're going to need to be able to combat stuff.
Yeah.
That's just of any profession. And then, as far as what type, oh man, who knows? Like I know.
When I was writing this, I'm like, dude, they want to do every type. What are you talking about? So,
right. Yes.
Anything
yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah. Yes to all of it. I think taming, the whole taming profession. Oh, my camera's going wonky. My autofocus is going. So the taming profession, I like how that's separate from the actual like breeding because that kind of diversifies the system. You know, like you can have your tamers, you can have your breeders, you can have people that do both, and that's all wrapped in one and just do the whole thing. And time wise, I think it's going to take a long time to be able to farm it, tame it, breed it, and then raise it, and then that's like its own like thing in itself. So I mean, I do like that, and I think that there's going to be multiple parts to the system when they do release it, and I can't wait. Honestly, I can't wait for alpha or beta whenever they do implement this stuff. I can't wait for it to happen. So what type animal husbandry will have discoverable blends of breeding. Rare creatures can be captured and tamed to breed animals within specific traits. The types of animals that can be bred are pets, mounts, and livestock. So it just doesn't stop at mounts.
Right.
Walking again. Sorry, guys.
What's going on, Spire? Yeah, I had to turn off the autofocus on my camera. It was
Yeah.
constantly trying to focus, and I was like, nope, we're not having that.
Yeah, it never does that. Yeah, so you're not going to just be able to just breed mounts. You can do pets, which I think is very cool. And then livestock, which I'm thinking maybe like nodes to supply food and maybe that
Yeah,
sort of thing.
milk.
Yeah.
Like milk's going to be an important cheese, be an important part of
Yep.
different
Thanks
recipes,
for the file
and
spire.
they've said that the food system is crucial to the game.
Right.
So I assume that you're going to want, potentially like sheep for gathering wool for making clothes and stuff. There's all kinds of different ways you can use livestock in that way.
Well, I could even see like even in like a siege war or node war, whatever it is, you can like starve them out as a tactic. You cut off their supply lines, you kill all their breeding animals or what have you. Maybe even you can put like a pestilence on the town, and then they all get sick and all the animals die. Man, I feel like I'm playing God a little bit right now. But yeah, I feel like that would be a really, really cool way to diversify the system. And livestock, I think, is just so cool. Like you're going to just get like all these different types of like cow bears and pig chickens and whatnot. So it's going to be so random, man.
Right. Well, I imagine it won't be random. I imagine there'll be something to it. Like we'll be able to kind of understand what's going on. I assume.
Yeah, one game I really liked back in the day was called Impossible Creatures, and that was like the only game where you can like mix animals. It was like an RTS type of game, which was really fun. But like your warriors and all your army was like the animals you create. So you can put like tigers and gorillas together, and then you get this crazy stuff, and you can mix which parts of the animal you want and stuff like that. Def goes on to say, well, you need different types of freeholds to breed different types of animals. It really didn't say. I think that the freeholds mainly are just the spot where you can put your stables on to be able to do this. You could also put it inside the node as well to raise them. But as far as it goes, I'm sure that there is, and cosmetically there will definitely be skins for the stables, so you could make your kind of your whole breeding system look different and maybe even operate different a little bit on your freehold. So just to give you some difference from the player next to you. Mo goes, ooh, Warren cooking. Yeah, man. So there's a lot to it. Thanks for the follow. I mean, I just can't wait, dude. Honestly, it gets me so excited to just see how this is all going to play out. And like making the system, I feel would be so fun as a dev. You're just like, what crazy shit can we just come up with? So royal,
no doubt.
Right? Royal mounts such as dragons are dropped as eggs that can be cultivated by animal husbandry artisans with high enough stable upgrades on their freehold. So that's where you get the rare mounts, and then that's where you get the stables on the freeholds, as you can upgrade them. But these mounts are not breedable, and the eggs can be sold on the auction house, as I was said before. Mounts that are bred through animal husbandry may be sold at auction. These mounts can be also applied as certificates towards construction of caravans, which we kind of got into that when we were doing the whole caravans.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say there is definitely going to be a really strong link between the caravan system and the animal husbandry system.
Right.
And for any of you guys who are watching who didn't listen to the caravan live stream that we did and also haven't really looked into it, when you're assembling your caravan to send it from one place to another, there's a bunch of parts that you have to add. Like you're going to choose what types of wheels. And so like, if you know a really badass carpenter, he may be able to make wheels that make the caravan go faster or be stronger or whatever. And there's all these different parts, and part of that, those slots for your parts, is what you're going to have dragging the caravan. What types of horses are they? Do they have a lot of stamina? Do they have a lot of speed? All those things. And so that's going to, you're going to have a really close interlink between the people who are, going nuts with the caravan system, who are using caravans to transport a lot of goods, and the people who are making the mounts that do that. So yeah, that's going to be a really interesting marriage there.
Yep. Yep. And I just love that too, honestly, because they're going to have to depend so much on each other, just to move the goods and make the good enough animals to be able to pull the caravans, and which type of caravan to pull. It might be, there might be a meta to it. I'm sure that there will be. I mean, I wouldn't see why
Well,
not.
there's a meta to everything.
There's a meta to everything. So whether we can really fully flesh it out or whatnot, because with the RNG, I think it's a little bit hard. But I mean, if you can get those rare gems of mounts, that'd be really cool. And animal husbandry and taming create unique mounts within unique abilities and stats. So this is kind of where the mounts differentiate in terms of stats and stuff. So you'll get your speed, health, armor, energy, how fast it can run, basically, how much health it has when it does get attacked. Armor wise, you can put it through, which we've talked about putting armor on your mounts, which is really cool too.
Right. That is very cool.
Different. I'm sure like the turtle probably has a higher armor mount than Day Strider or something like that. Just going off on, for an example. So stats are always important to players. How does this drive the demand for new mounts, and how will the market keep up with this, do you feel?
How will the market keep up? Like how will they be able to have enough mounts to keep the caravans going?
Mm-hmm. And just the demand, just like what people want,
right? Just the different mounts and stuff. Obviously, the flying mounts. Spire actually made a comment that ties right into this. Dovetails real nice into it. He said he's looking to breed the flying mounts, and he's going to need raiders to supply the eggs. And that's true. Like in order to keep up with the demand for the flying mounts, there's going to need to be raid teams that are going out there, going after those world bosses, camping them, waiting for them to spawn. I mean, I guarantee you there's going to be teams that are like, okay, the world boss is going to spawn tonight at 3:55 a.m. Right. So I know some of y'all got work and stuff, but set that alarm clock, get your ass up. Like we got a mount to get.
Yep.
So that's the kind of thing that's going to happen there. And the players will go, the extra length to make sure that they keep up with the demand for sure.
Yeah.
My biggest question on the demand part of it is going to be whenever you assign a mount to a caravan and the caravan makes it to the destination, does that use up that mount or animal, whatever animal it is that you're using to pull it? Or do you get it back? Like, can you use it again? Because that's going to be the really hard part, is if that uses up the mount, then the demand for constant, what you'd call a draft mount, a mount that's made for pulling a caravan, the demand for those is going to be through the roof, because people are going to be needing to move large amounts of resources all over the map. So
and specific types, because you might need like a specific type to be able to endure that, and you can't find that anywhere. So I mean, it's going to be really interesting, and I think majority of the time, I mean, usually demand exceeds supply. Hopefully, that's always a good market, is when there's too much, or there's not enough mounts to go around. But the fact if you do get them, thanks for the follow, Cesara. So if you do get the mount, of the one you really want, so it's really going to be impactful. I don't think that they would go away. I just think that you'd be able to apply it as a certificate, and then you get to claim it back once the caravan reaches its goal.
I assume that's how it will work. And then if the caravan dies, if caravan blows up, then you lose your mount.
Yeah, that's
what I would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or potentially they could loot it. I suppose they could loot the certificate and then they could have the mount.
Or they have it. Yeah. They have a chance at dropping that cert, and then you get that mount.
Yeah.
That would be interesting, man. That would be so cool, dude. I would love that.
Yes. I don't know about would be. I think that's how it was going to work.
Hey, Steven, if you're listening, that would be really, really cool if you could do that, please. Thank you. There's a compendium of.
Thanks for the follow, CPEX.
Thanks for the follow, man. There's a compendium of accessible parameters for breeding. So we're going to go into breeding a little bit, guys. So if you guys can hold on to your chairs, which isn't going to be known until the players discover it yet. So the whole basically skill trees, and we'll talk about it, but skill trees aren't known to anyone until you actually breed that animal with this animal to get that combination, so to speak. This discovery may be different for different players even. Animals, Stephen goes on to say, animals have a unique ID that is tied to the husbandry chart, the compendium, that takes into account possible combinations between animal breeds. There will be odd combinations, but there will be limits to what is possible, which is good. I feel like there should be some parameters to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, otherwise you just get chaos. Discover of certain breeds, habits, and different quests may grant access to slots in the compendium. So through quests and certain habits is where you'll kind of get these different openings to slot these things in. Traits will be able to discover all possible combinations of genetic traits for breeding eventually. So don't worry, guys, you can do it all. But there is an element of RNG associated with the genetic pairings. Animal husbandry involves a tree of its own that players get to discover via pairings they choose. That's going to be pretty fun aspect for creating rare mounts that haven't been seen in the world yet. So yeah,
That's so cool, man.
I
Golly,
know, man.
That's awesome.
I don't know how he
That
can
is
think of
awesome.
this stuff. This is just so like interesting, just on
Right.
the system behind it.
Yeah, I mean, there's somebody who comments on a lot of my videos, and I wish I could think of his names and his name right offhand, but he kind of a lot of times when we're talking about kind of high-minded topics regarding the game, he reminds us, and I forget how he puts it exactly, but it's something like Ashes of Creation is like when you're hanging out with your buddies and you're like, what would be a really cool game? And you like list off, if I had all the money in the world, what game I would make, except for this guy has the money and is making the game.
Yeah.
And that's very true. Like, that's exactly what it's like. Me and you sitting around discussing what would be cool ideas, but he's like, instead of saying that would be cool, he's saying, let's do that.
Yeah.
So
I'm
cool.
gonna make it. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, man. How do you feel the uniqueness of endless possible combinations influences the world of Vera? Like, how do you think all these different breeds what will it do to the world, do you think?
Well, I mean, I don't know about what it would do to the world. I do think about, because I'm thinking about like artisans who discover really cool combinations, especially early, but even late. And you ride into town and you ride right into the town center, and you're on this mount that's like a half bear, half unicorn or some crazy looking thing. And it's armored up and stuff. And everybody's like, oh my God, where'd you get that? And you're like, oh, well, there's this breeder, he's outside of such and such city. His name is Plate. Go check him out,
right?
Because he knows how to make this mount, dude. It's so cool. Or somebody learns it in a guild and they start making it for all the guildies, and there's a whole guild flying around, or not flying around, but running around on a specific mount that nobody else knows how to make. And so it becomes kind of like the calling card of a specific guild or alliance or node or something like that. So that's the type of thing that I'm thinking of when I think about this stuff. It's the exclusivity of it.
That would be very special, man, honestly. And like the fact that just like a whole guild riding around on a specific mount to really, I don't know, drive like their image, like they're this people, so they ride around on this mount. I get it, like us for orcs, since we're all orcs. I mean, I think that'd be really cool if we all had like a mount, a guild mount that we can all just ride on and stuff like that.
Right.
So
you guys do your best to make a warg, start combining stuff. So you can have, like Lord of the Rings style wargs.
Yeah, dude, that's what I would love, man. Honestly, like I could see like a cat and a bear kind of like breeding into a type of warg, or even if they had like a warg type of animal and just crossbreeding it with different stuff. Genetic lines are based up of type of mount or creature that has been captured or tamed. The genetic system will involve trial and error to determine what yields or combinations are possible. This will incorporate an element of RNG, so that's where you get the RNG part of it. This may grant access to specific types of mounts. The dominant genetic trait might be discovered with a pairing, or there may be a much smaller chance to unlock a specific breed of species. So like you're not just breeding mounts, you're making species and unlocking species, which is
That's crazy, man.
Isn't that crazy?
It's like Spore. It's like Spore inside of
Spore. Yeah. That's a really, really cool game. I never got to play it, but it looks so cool. Yeah, that is. And I think that would be like such a unique combinations if they can even introduce something like that. The
Yep.
the possible chances to improve on the player's advancement within animal husbandry profession. So that's pretty interesting. Like you don't just you don't there's a progression part of it too. Like you can get
Mhm.
lost in this thing for hours. You're not just you do
Right.
it and then you do like all the different combinations and you're done. No, it's
Right.
you unlock like tiers almost to what you can breed, how you can breed, and your chance to fail on it is really cool. That's like the whole crafting thing too. Bloomberg goes on to say, it wouldn't be cool if the mount could have random painting, so you could sometimes be lucky and get a crazy looking mount, but the most of the times you would look normal. Yeah, I mean, like, if you guys go over the wiki, I didn't pull up any of the pictures on it, but literally, I was saying before, the profiles of the face are different even. So, like, if you do a lion, the lion might actually look more lion, but then you mix it with something else and it looks a little bit like the forehead's a little
Right. The
straight,
brow comes
the brow
down.
comes down more, and like just
Yeah.
subtle things that's gonna
Hmm.
differentiate and like what people like. Honestly, I want to see what makes gonna drive through the room, what's gonna make it like so cool, like what people are
Right.
gonna love just based on the combinations that they can do is just so cool.
Hmm. Yes.
So since there's a little RNG to the genetic lines, where do you see the value for players on that?
Where do I see the value of for players on the
Yeah.
genetic lines? I mean, the value is more or less in the same things that I was just saying that
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, finding ways to make really unique mounts, especially if, even though there is a element of RNG to it, if you get a nice breeding pair or a few breeding pairs going, and
Right.
you can kind of replicate something that's kind of rare and different, that there's going to be value in that, or um, just about in any way in which you can make a mount that's a little bit different than what everyone else has, because you got to think about these MMOs, even MMOs um that spit out new mount skins all the time through the cash shops and stuff. You kind of see the same few mounts everywhere you go,
Yeah.
whereas in a game like
Blizzard
this you
Blizzard
might,
does it a lot. They just
right,
yeah, Blizzard does it.
reskin them.
Reskin them and yeah,
So
change the colors in them and
having
that's it.
having different uh paints, like Bloomberg said, there is a good example of a way that you could make your mount be almost different from any other one,
Thanks
or
for the follow,
other
Bio.
just like small mutations, little different things.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, that's you're gonna see way more variety of mounts, even if
Thanks for the follow,
the
Keeper.
differences are subtle. So
Right.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, thank you guys for all the follows, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. Sorry if I don't get to call you guys out right away, but thanks guys. We really appreciate it. Um, yeah, and I just think like the whole value thing is kind of entwined with just the idea. Like you're creating value for the players because they can make their own mounts.
Right.
And you're creating value for the players because they can go and capture them and they can go and raise them, just on that
Hmm.
element alone. And the fact that you can bring in rare species and rare traits that are all kind of RNG'd in a way, depending on which to breed out specific traits that you don't want and breed in traits that you do want is pretty valuable to me at least.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so I think that it goes a very long way, and the whole idea behind it is just very valuable, especially to me. And honestly, this is one of the crafting professions that I don't know if I just want to do, and I don't want to do anything else, just because I'm like this I could just do all the time. Like
Yes,
I
yes.
got other priorities to the game that I have to do, but like it's a slippery slope with this system for me.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that that's pretty common amongst players, and it will be.
Yeah, it's a system, like what I kind of have distilled my thought down on this to, I want to know someone who plans on being a hardcore breeder.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do it,
Right.
because I'm the same. I'm like, I will just all day long be playing with the animal breeding system, and especially since I plan on streaming this game, that doesn't seem like that'd be the most interesting
Dude, do
gameplay
you know how many
for people to
people would
watch.
love that, dude? People would love that. I would watch that
Like,
shit, dude.
like I kind of want to be a mayor of a town. So if all
Mm,
of my gameplay is me walking around and setting tax rates and choosing what buildings to build and breeding animals together, I'm like,
mm.
that's not exactly thrilling gameplay.
It's a
So yeah, I
niche.
want to know somebody. I want to have somebody that's close to me
Right.
that's a breeder, an animal husbandry guy.
Yeah, right. Um, yeah, man, it's gonna be fun, honestly. And I'm probably right there with you. I probably want to know the best animal breeders. I don't want to be the best animal breeders, just
Right. Right.
just because of the time it's gonna take
The
to,
time.
yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Like Emo said, it's a good system for people who want to live in the game.
yeah.
And yeah, that's exactly right.
I
And
think,
even though I do want to live in the game, I know that I'll never like I'll forget my wife's name if I get too involved in this animal husbandry system.
yep, yep. Start calling her by the name of your animals.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like, I think that also drives the immersion factor too of being lost in the game, and this is a system that can really hone on that. Is just
Yeah.
doing it for hours. You don't even really, maybe if you didn't tame, but like if you just focused on the breeding aspect and the processing
Right.
part of it or the raising part of it, you really probably don't have to do combat, honestly. You just get your tamers to go get you some stuff that drop it off to you or mail it to you or whatever that they can do,
Uh-huh.
and then you're just sitting on your freehold 90% of the time, just raising bear pigs and whatnot and selling them on the market, or even
Man,
giving
bear,
them.
pig.
Yeah, man, bear pigs. Yeah, that
It's
dude. They're
half bear, half
better.
pig, half animal.
There better be a amount for that, dude. I would love that. So there are stages of development within breeding. The youngling stage for mammals, this relates to the baby animals. For lizards, reptiles, this is like the egg stage. So this is where like, and I wonder, like, honestly, like if like incubation type of things go into play. Like, is it heat sensitive? If you're like in the cold,
Oh, like Ark.
yeah, like if environmental effects kind of affect maybe your lines, but if your animal lives or dies, even too.
Right. Right.
Like if you're
That's yeah,
bleeding,
that's possible.
like if you're breeding a water mount, like you need to have some water on your freehold or be by, you know, a river or some type of water source to be able to.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that's taking it to a whole new level, and I don't know if they're going to be
Well,
able
that
to
sounds
implement it.
exactly like the level of complexity that Steven has developed into the rest of
Yeah,
this game. So
yeah,
why not? Yeah.
yeah. It's not
Yeah.
out of the question at all. um,
No.
So, a modified character creation system allows customization of summoner pets and animal husbandry. So, between the summoner's pets and the animal husbandry, you kind of get like a mini character creation in terms of like aesthetics
Okay.
and what it looks like. So, maybe you'll have like a UI window that pulls up, and then you'll be able to like select different features or change like proportions. Maybe colors, which I'm guessing maybe different hairstyles or something like that. So cosmetically, I think that's where it's gonna lie.
Right. Now let me ask a question real quick there.
Mhm.
Was that was the thing about the summoner's pets thrown in there because the character creator will also be used for the summoner's pets? Or
Yes,
was that in that section because the summoner is going to get their pets from the animal husbandry system?
I don't know. We'll have to cover summoner and
Okay.
find out. Honestly, I didn't know. Uh,
Well, yeah, there's not much information about the summoner. That's the problem.
yeah, I could see both ways. Honestly,
Right, right. No, I definitely can see both ways. I was just thinking it would be really fascinating if that's how, like, in order for you to summon a pet, you have to,
breed
or
it.
maybe you have the kind of base level pets, but it's anything better,
Hmm.
you have to go through the animal husbandry system, and yeah, that would be a really neat way of doing summoning. But that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna say not. I'm gonna say that they can customize the way their pets look
There's pets
through
look.
their
Yeah,
character or
right.
through their class. Um, so yeah, but honestly, I could go either way on that. They both
Yeah,
sound
yeah.
fun to me. So, changes at the youngling stage affect the appearance of the animal at adulthood. So this is where you change the way it looks, and by the time it's actually an adult considered, that's the way it's gonna look, which is pretty
See,
cool.
that's what I'm talking about right there. So change. So it doesn't say that. Um, Whatever you make it look like as a youngling, that's what it's going to look like as an adult. It says that the changes as a youngling affect what it will look like as an adult.
Mhm.
So that's the kind of thing where I'm talking about, where somebody may figure out some specific combination of sliders that you can do to a youngling that will make an adult look a real specific way.
Mhm.
And like maybe it's counterintuitive, so nobody can figure out how that person is making those mounts look that specific way. And that's where you start getting the rare ones that like look a specific way. And like I said, maybe he makes it for one entire guild, or every citizen of a specific node or something has this mount that looks a way that nobody else can freaking even figure out how to make.
Yeah. I think you're
That's cool.
100% correct. And I even think once you get to like high breeding stages, I can even see the breeders doing something in their breeding to their animals to make him like give them that mark that they bred it,
Like a brand.
like a brand almost. Like they do the
Yes,
tail
yes.
a certain way, and like, oh, I know who bred that. That was blah blah blah.
Right. Right.
That was
That's
Spire.
so cool.
Spire
Yeah.
actually goes on to say, I think some of the game to try and treat this game like Pokemon. Yeah, dude, this is so Pokemon. Like
Yeah. There's a
Pokemon with
Pokemon element to it for sure.
Pokemon element, but with breeding. I don't know if you can even breed in Pokemon. I don't think you can, but yeah,
Well, I think you can in the little most recent one, but it's not like this. It's not a
Pokemon Go or
detailed,
something.
crazy system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then MO goes on to say, yeah, you have to wonder how like small daemons and elementals to summon compare to bred pets. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when you get into the actual elements and elemental pets, you're not going to be able to breed those. I don't think. Like that doesn't make
Right.
too much sense. So I think that'll live
I'm
on the summoners class.
right. When it says pets that you can breed pets, I'm assuming that those are going to be the non-combat pets that walk around and follow you, because otherwise that
Familiar
negates
type.
the
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that negates the point of the summoner class. If you want to have pets that fight for you, you be in the summoner class.
Right.
That's the way I see it. Now I could be wrong about that, or if it's not that, then they need to be significantly weaker than summoner pets. Summoner pets need to be way stronger, because otherwise,
Oh,
what's the
right.
point in being a summoner?
Yeah. I would think
Yeah.
that they would be non-combat familiars type.
That's kind of what I
Pets
think. They
that
follow you around,
cosmetically. Maybe you
Yeah.
can interact with them. You can feed them.
make
you
them
can
dance.
dance. You can do all that stuff. So it's really
Right.
And that's kind of traditional in MMOs. I feel like the newer MMOs kind of have like pets and stuff that you can
Yeah.
have follow
They
you
follow
around
you.
and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. So changes during the youngling stage affect its adulthood. As the youngling stage presents the changing of your animal's appearance through the mini character creator system, as we were talking about, how do you feel this kind of elevates the animal husbandry as like a whole?
I mean, I guess I preempted your question because I basically answered this, but
Yeah.
exactly what we were just talking about, the ability to do a little specific thing to the tail. And so everybody knows, oh, well, that's Plate did that mount because it has the tail thing or whatever, that
Right.
sort of thing. The ability to
Yeah.
customize or brand what you're doing is pretty cool. for
Yeah.
sure.
To give that unique look that you made it, and the more you do it, the more you can get people to actually like your mounts and follow your mounts. And again, thank you for the follow. Any old name or whatever that was. Sorry, man, I didn't see
Any
it.
old name.
Any old name. Thanks, bro. So last bit, stables in the area, and this is the what you're gonna breed your animals in, which is the stables. But stables in the area used to breed animals within the animal husbandry profession. So this is a building for housing mounts. If you guys didn't know, that you'll be able to build on your freehold, or if you can get your mayor to build a stable, which I'm guessing every single node in the game will have a stable. It'd be weird if they didn't, I feel.
Right.
But
Definitely.
do you feel, I got one last question. Do you feel stables will be a strong desire for players to build on the node initially? Or do you think other buildings are going to be more important initially? And that goes with
Man.
freeholds, I guess, too.
Okay, so this actually is something that I can talk a little bit about because of what we're doing in alpha, and we're getting to that stage where we have stage 3 node, and that's when it becomes a village, and that's when really the possibilities start opening up. That's when the mayor actually gets elected, and that's when the mayor can start building buildings and all that stuff. And at just the stage goes from the village goes from 2 to 3. At that point, like there's some extra buildings and stuff, but there's not really anything on that node of consequence. Like there's not, if you want to be able to craft cool gear, the guy has to make a smithy, an advanced smithy on the node, because the smithy back at the starting area lets you make like 4 things.
Right.
That's
And it's far
that
as
is
fuck
going,
too.
and it's yes, and it's far away.
Yeah.
So you got to think about it from that perspective. Like, yes, amounts are going to be important, but in the early game, when a node first gets leveled up, especially those first few weeks,
Right.
I mean, you're going to need apothecaries so people can have potions. You're going to need smithing stations, that sort of stuff. But as the game starts to stable out and stuff starts getting, more commonplace, then yeah, that's when I think you'll start seeing the stables popping up. And then obviously there'll be people putting stables in their freeholds ASAP because they want to go deep in this system.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of wanted to ask this question, because this kind of dictates where the system sits amongst everything else, and what gets prioritized over the other one. So, and I was really thinking about this, and honestly, I don't think stables are going to be initially put on the nodes. Maybe for some nodes. I don't want to be wrong on that, but I'm guessing majority of the things are, like you said, are going to be right with the blacksmith, or you're going to want the tailor or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And if you're by a coastal node, you're going to want the harbor right away, and things that kind of open up the node for your goals or whatever the node's goals are. So
and it's to expand on that even more. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of buildings that you can put on nodes that provide services like what you're saying, the harbor and all that stuff. But there's a lot of them that have other benefits that aren't just those types of services, like putting in more apartments so you can have more citizens on the node, building more houses so more people can have on node, housing, storage housing, units.
Right.
Yep. Yes. You have to have storage so that you can store resources to use to build up the node further and all that stuff. So I think, I think you're right that it places animal husbandry a little further down on the
list,
priority list.
Yep.
Yeah. Like people, it's going to matter, and it's really going to matter later, but early, I do think that, people are going to be focusing on trying to build their nodes and get their characters where they can be in the world and not die instantly.
Yeah. And honestly, like I could even see like the tavern maybe even coming late too, even though like the tavern's going to be a whole really cool system that we'll have to do an episode on too. But
for sure,
like all these things, I think the core components to the node are going to be basically gear primarily, because most people care about gear. Maybe mounts, because mounts will be a thing. But if you have a mount stable master, whatever it is, well, then that's where you'd get the stable master to buy mounts. So I don't know.
Right.
I don't know, honestly, because it's so hard to interpret. But I definitely think that, stables will maybe come like 5th, maybe, is what I'm thinking.
Right. Yeah, it's a ways down the list, and taverns too, but except for
guild halls will be first, one of the first things.
Definitely.
Right.
I know several people, like an inordinate number of people who running a tavern is what they want to do. Like that is the totality of their ambition in this game. I want to have a tavern out on a freehold, and I want people to come in and, tell stories and get drunk and play games and stuff. So there might be people who are like clamoring to put that tavern up like immediately.
Yeah. I could even see like a bribing aspect too, to like a node that's getting leveled up. You bribe the mayor a little bit to put up something.
Oh, the corruption.
Yeah.
The corruption at the mayoral level is going to be just, oh, golly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be bad.
Spire said, oh, Moptech, you missed everything, man. We're about to close out. But ask your questions before we go, guys. We'd love to hear them. Spire Metro says, reliquary, religion buildings, marketplace, those are all things that I think will definitely be at the top of the list. Especially like how influenced, like a divine node will definitely put like temples and whatnot on the first buildings for sure. Like depending, and it's probably node specific too, this question and what gets placed, but like military nodes will probably have arenas and all that fun stuff. Barracks and all that stuff for the guards and whatnot. So,
right. So I got a question. If are you done with the animal husbandry?
Yeah, that's it. I don't have any
Um,
more
well,
notes, guys. So if you
you're
have any
done.
more questions.
Okay. Well, let me just let me just keep it going just a little bit.
Hmm.
We got some people
Yeah,
watching
for
and
sure.
interested right now. Um, so uh, Stephen talked about in the AMA this weekend, and it's one of the things that I left out of the video that I did on my recap because I wanted to do a video all about it. And so let's talk
Mm.
about this. Did you watch the AMA?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Okay.
But
Oh
we
God,
could
you're missing out.
we could
Okay,
still
wait.
talk
Let's
about it.
ask a way more important question. Let's ask a
Okay.
way more important question.
Okay.
Did you watch my video recapping the AMA?
No, not yet.
Oh my God, what are you
Dude,
doing with your
my
life,
my,
man?
my son's been like sick
Oh,
and
I got a baby. Well,
yeah. No, I didn't.
okay,
I'll
so
watch it after this though, I promise.
no, it's okay. So Stephen was asked about the superpowers of the different nodes because we know a couple of them, but we don't know all of them.
Oh, okay.
And and so he answered, and he gave this answer that like has had my mind just like bouncing all over the place for days now. And he was talking about, he said, prefaced it by saying, this isn't set in stone. This is not 100% what we're going to do. But this is an idea that's talked about, for the religious nodes. So when the religious node gets to stage 6, becomes a metropolis,
Right.
one of the ideas they're talking about having that its superpower be basically a massive catacombs underneath the node that would attach to all of the other religious nodes that are a vassal of that node. And there would be random
Oh my
bosses and stuff,
god,
all
dude.
kinds of stuff underneath there. And what really blew my mind about this, the mega dungeon, yes, that's what he called it.
Oh, Mega
But what
Dungeons,
really blew
okay.
my mind, what he was talking about making it procedurally generated. So that would mean that if that stage 6 religious node got knocked down and rebuilt back up, the next time it got back up, the mega dungeon underneath it would be different than the last time it was there, or potentially they could make it be different every time you go in there,
Right.
so that you can't just memorize it and know where all the best stuff is or whatever. Like it would
Right.
be procedurally generated like that, which is that's a wild thing to think about. Is like every day you're like, well, we're going to go in there and explore, and we don't know what's going to happen. Adding
Dude.
to that unpredictability of the game.
Dude, I just love this game so much already. You
Yeah.
know?
Yes.
The
Yes.
fact,
Yes.
dude, I'm so on board with that. You have no idea. The fact that they can, and if they even went to the length of making it like an undead area or something like that, or catacombs with raid bosses and whatnot too. But like,
Yeah.
I
That what
just
he
get
was
like
saying was
divine
that.
nodes going into like the dungeons and the undead and all that and purging all that. That could be its
Right.
own game in itself, you know?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah. He was saying that the other
that's
religious
awesome.
nodes that are vassals are where you would find the raid bosses that drop the special augments and special recipes and stuff.
Mhm.
So that's pretty cool. So any
Yeah.
old name asked how will the gather process craft thing affect animal husbandry? We actually talked a little bit about that earlier. Basically, gathering is how you tame animals. So if you're a gatherer, one of the lines you'll be able to go down is taming, and there will be resource nodes on the map called herds, and you will be able to
Mhm.
tame things and bring them back. So you tame at a herd like you would mine at a rock for the mining gathering, and then processing is the turning of the animal into breeding and putting them together or whatever. And there actually isn't a craft section, or you could look
I would
at it
say the
like
craft
it's
is the
crafting and there's
youngling.
not a processing.
The crafting
Okay.
is probably the cosmetic thing, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's
So yeah,
like
they
the
actually do
raising
that.
part of it that dictates how it will
Right.
look as an adult. So it's
Mhm.
3 parts in a way, but yeah, we'll have to see on how they actually make it. So, I mean, it's really cool though, honestly.
Yeah, it's cool system
I like how they're
for
breaking
sure.
it down. So Mobtech says the notes are done. Yeah, sadly they are. Spire Metro, do you guys think that the professions are going to dictate some of the buildings? Like first, like this stage is going to, is or going to want a clothier or opposed to an armorer? That's what we were talking about. And honestly, I think like it's really going to dictate the players on the node. I feel of maybe the mayor will have everyone vote
Yes.
on it. Maybe the mayor will just be crucial, or abrupt and be rule with an iron fist and just do whatever he wants and makes the buildings that he wants
Right.
because that's what he feels will be the success of the node. So I mean, like, it's hard to say, honestly, and it's hard to place what will go first and what not. But I think mainly guild halls will be one of the first three. Just
Yeah, guild halls will be up there for sure. But he was asking, how do you think professions are going to dictate some of the
profession. Sorry.
buildings? And
Yeah.
yeah, and that's okay. I was thinking about it as you were talking because I was going, okay, there's 118 nodes on the map, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are there going to be more than 118 guilds on the server?
Yeah. Yeah. More,
Definitely,
way more.
definitely,
Yeah.
way more. Exactly. That's my
Right.
point.
Yeah.
Okay. So how many guilds do you think there are right now that are already grouping up and planning on picking out their node in beta as soon as the launch happens, rushing to their node and leveling it up
All
and
of
all that
them.
stuff?
All of
All
them.
of them. All of them.
All of
Exactly.
them are doing
There's
that.
hundreds of guilds right now that are talking about doing that, and
You too,
and we're 2
Thugly.
years away from release,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I think is going to dictate, hey Thoggill, how you doing, man? I think that what's going to dictate to a very large degree how the first buildings that get put up is the strategy of the biggest guilds that picked that node as their starting location.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's who's going to be whoever the biggest guild is, that's who's going to be the mayor most likely,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to get to make those early decisions. And so whatever their specific strategy is going to dictate that stuff. So yeah, somebody might go, make a clothier's place instead of an armorer because they think the meta is summoner, so they want everybody in cloth gear or whatever, their whole guild or what, however you want to
Right.
look at that. So, yeah, and definitely, like you said, corruption, knowing the mayor, being good with the mayor, having good friends, being good friends
Even
with him,
outside the game, you know?
outside of the game, slipping him some gold, just a little, not a bribe, not a bribe. I just want to give you some gold
A gift.
and tell you that I prefer an armor. They're not connected. They're not connected in any way.
Yeah.
Just a gift of gold. Also,
Yeah.
I would like an armor shop first.
Yeah.
Not connected. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, dude. Definitely. I just love the politics that go behind it. Such a
Yes,
scholar
yes.
versus thieves versus merchants are going to have different motivations.
Different motivations.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
And what really comes to life on the node will happen in time. And it's really, I'm guessing, the bigger voice on that too. Like you might have plans to do this, but then the node really wants to go this route, and as
Right.
as the mayor, what do you do? Like, do you go with your node? Do you make them happy, or do you just stick to your plan and kind of know what's going to happen, or semi know because you've played alpha and whatnot, so you can
Right.
you
Right.
can see the things. So interesting.
Yeah, that's it. I love all of that. Everything about being a mayor. I actually did a video recently about node types based on the way that the mayor gets elected because it's different for all four types.
Mhm.
And that's one of the reasons why I think that the scientific node will be the most stable over time,
Right.
because the mayor is going to be elected, and so he is going to have to actually represent his constituents, whereas in the military node, it's essentially a PvP competition. So it's like I win and you rule with an iron fist, like you said. So definitely, people are going to have to think about those things when they're getting ready to pick their node type. Like, what type of leadership am I in for here?
Yeah, who do I want to lead me, type of thing. Or who do I want to lead?
Yes.
Brom 108, you go on to say, what do you think about the addition of natural disasters in AOC? I love that. We were just talking about before, having pestilence come into the node and kill all the livestock for the animal husbandry. I mean,
Right.
that would be insane. Or like some tsunami that hits a coastal node that does damage. It almost can act as kind of a world boss in a way too. Like a world boss spawns on a landlocked node that they can't really get maybe natural disasters, or if they get maybe a storm or a volcano that comes in. And this could also block trade routes type of thing where there'll be quests to go fix that, which we were talking about back in the caravan episode. I mean, I would love that. I would really love that. And maybe even supernatural disasters too could come into play. Maybe that's how they
I love
introduce.
the idea of
Yeah,
I,
maybe
I love the idea of like you didn't appease the gods. You made the gods mad, so they smited your town or whatever. I
right,
love that thought. That's
right.
so cool.
They rain fucking
Um,
maelstroms on it, man. That'd be sweet.
yeah, yeah. So I'm actually of two minds when it comes to the natural disasters thing.
Mm.
So I did a video. I think it was actually my last video I put out. Was about the maps getting stagnant and kind of the top end guilds taking over, and we were spitballing ideas on how to stop that from happening. And one of the things that a lot of people in my comment section said was that Steven has already said that if they have to, they'll use natural disasters to
Get them
make the
out of
map
there.
start moving and start
Right.
shifting and moving and stuff. And I'm like, oh well, that's really cool because that'll stop the big huge mega guilds that are 6 or 7 1,200 player alliances like loosely grouped together and stuff. But then I start thinking about it and I'm like, from the perspective of just an everyday player who's not like super into all that, and you work your butt off and you get yourself a freehold that's inside of a level 6 node,
And you're
and
comfortable and you're making good
you're comfortable
money.
and you built up a tavern, and it's like, one thing is, it's fine to, okay, another group of players decided they wanted to take this node.
Right.
That's okay, we lost. But it's another thing that Steven decided that I was too comfortable, so he had lightning strike my node, and now I have nothing. I'm of two minds about that. I wonder how many people will be like, I'm not.
I'm not going to play this
uninstall,
game. Yeah.
uninstall right
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think there's an element that you're going to have to get used to if natural disasters do come into it. And even just with nodes losing and then destructing, is that you can't really tie yourself too much to something, emotionally at least.
emotionally, yeah, you're gonna be tied to it
You're
in the
go-
game, but you're
because
and
if it
that's
comes crashing down, like, yeah, you can reclaim some of your stuff and you'll get, majority of your housing back or whatever it is. Thanks for the
right.
follow, Will. But I mean, you got to restart. I know you still have your stuff, but I mean, you got to still restart, and all that progress is gone,
Yep,
and
yep.
what's more important, the items or the progress? So,
Right. There's no question. And that's why I have in numerous videos over the last couple of months been
mm,
encouraging people to go out there and play games where you lose your stuff. Like, we all need to get very comfortable with losing your stuff,
mm-hmm,
because make no bones about it. Everybody who plays this game is going to lose stuff.
mm-hmm.
You're going to die and have stuff taken from you. Your node's going to get de-leveled and you're going to lose stuff. Your caravan's going to get jumped and you're going to lose stuff. Uh, Steven might decide that volcano will erupt and destroyed your node, and you're going to lose stuff.
The three
So
nodes
I've been
around
trying
it,
to,
yeah.
yeah, yes, I've been trying to encourage people, go play Eve Online, go play Albion Online, go play Rust, where you have to start over every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however
Mm-hmm.
often that is. Like, get used to not being emotionally attached to your stuff, because you're going to lose it in this game.
Yeah, and it sucks, but will probably ensue a lot of rage quitting, but that's all right because
Yeah,
I love that type of system and I love those type of games that offer that,
right,
especially for MMOs
right.
and whatnot. Yeah, the griefing is gonna
Yeah.
come, but I mean,
We'll
that
deal with the griefers.
yeah, we'll deal with the griefers. That's what you're in for. So we're just gonna answer a few more questions, guys, before you guys go. As Thugly says, only the strong will survive, man. Yeah, that's 100% true, and that honestly makes me think like which guilds are gonna survive in the long run, which new alliances are gonna be made, which new
Oh
guilds will pop
man.
up, which will happen probably monthly, I'm guessing.
Oh man, there's going to be so much backstabbing and political intrigue and
Taking
stuff that's
guilds
going
down,
on.
ripping them apart.
Right.
Hmm.
So I was having this discussion the other day, and a lot of people keep trying to compare the big alliances that are held together in Eve Online,
Hmm.
because Eve has a cap for their corporation size, just like this game does, only it's a lot bigger. And people keep saying, oh well, in Eve, there's 20,000 player guilds and they all stay
Right.
together and it's no big deal. And I'm like, yeah, but the node system puts a monkey wrench in that plan. So
Hmm.
let's take Asmongold as an example. And I'm not trying to trash on Asmongold. He seems like a perfectly nice guy, but he's going to have a big giant guild in this game, okay? Because all of his followers are
I
going to
think he's
play.
in
Well,
Envious. Guys, is Asmund
yes,
in Envious? I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure about that, but it doesn't matter. He's going to have a big giant following that's going to play with him.
Right.
Okay, so So they take a node, they level it up to the metropolis stage and all that stuff. There is a citizenship cap in the node. So the people who are going to be allowed to be citizens in the node that are close that Asmongold lives in and runs are going to be like the people that are closest to him. It's going to be kind of like a wedding. You know how at a wedding, people who sit further, it's like an insult to sit further away
you're
from
at
the
the
stage
reject table. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so you're going to have people who are going to be like, oh, well, you can't be in the main node. You're going to be in the stage, one of the stage 5 nodes that's nearby.
Right.
And then there's going to be a group of people that like, well, no, you're in the stage 4 nodes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, you're in the stage 3 node,
Yeah.
that's all the way down here or whatever. So, and those people are going to be looking around and they're going to go, man, if I go join that group, I'll get to live in a stage 5 node and have access to more resources and more services and amenities and stuff. And so I think that citizenship cap on the nodes is going to have the political intrigue and drama just like through the roof, and people are going to be just leaving guilds and creating spy accounts and whatever.
Yeah. That's why you can't alt into a different guild in the same server and all that, because, they'll just make it worse.
Yeah, and you actually can't alt into another guild more than anything, because you can only be a citizen of one node per server. So your alt can't even be a citizen. So how are you gonna be a part of the group if you can't even be a citizen of a node?
Yeah. And there's many perks to being a citizen, as we covered in the past.
Yes.
Brom goes on to say, how prevalent or not do you think AOC server news reporters will become in the content creating community?
And Paco answered immediately. He said the problem I see with news reporters is that the interest might be limited to people who are in that same server. And yes, there's already some people who are doing videos in the news reporter style. Shout out to East Caruth, who's doing that stuff.
That's hilarious, dude.
It's great. It is great, and I do believe that while you may not be able to get a absolutely massive following, because yes, it will be kind of server based, but even like if you're interested in the politics and the drama and the intrigue that's going on your server, you might watch the people who are reporting on the other servers just to see what's going on.
Just for
the politics of it, even though it doesn't affect you directly.
No.
So now, I don't know how much of an impact those people will have, Brom, but I would say that the prevalence, it's going to be quite prevalent. There are already people doing it, and I'm sure it's going to be there's going to be a lot of stuff. And, you think about EVE Online has these massive battles that like PC Gamer writes big old long articles about these battles that happen because it's such a big deal. And I suspect that you're going to have similar type stuff going on with this game for sure.
Like, oh man, yeah, you can. Do you think any old name says you could do a revolving reporter bit for him? Yeah. Do you
roving reporter?
Roving bit. Do you think could you see yourself as a reporter doing this stuff?
No.
For your content?
No.
That'd be interesting though. I want to play the game, man. I don't want to just talk about the game.
Right.
I like talking about the game, but I want to play the game though. So.
Yeah, my channel is going to be primarily once the game launches, because right now obviously all we can do is speculate, but once the game launches, my channel will be news covering the game. So anytime there's updates, patches, anything like that, news covering the game, guides for the different mechanics of the game, the node system, the animal husbandry system, the crafting system, guides for all that stuff, and then boss fights, how to do the different boss fights, stuff like that, and then theory crafting on different builds and build types and stuff like that. That's what my channel is going to be about. But cool. I can tell you 100% there are going to be people who cover this game like the news reporter.
Thanks for the follow, Tara. Yeah, I think there will be. That's a whole little avenue to the content. Like for at least me and my channel, what I want to do is I want to do more day in the life of me and like as a guild leader and
right.
And the sabotage and what I have to deal with on my end to make people, work, and
right.
PvPing and PvEing and seeing the content, seeing these systems fleshed out. So we'll definitely have to do a collaboration with your builds and working them in for us to try out and stuff.
Absolutely.
So that'd be fun.
No, and one of the things that I find really fascinating about this game and we can wrap this up after this.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wrap it up. I gotta go.
So one of the things I find really fascinating is because of the fact that I've talked a little bit about this on my YouTube channel, but because of the fact that you can only have one node citizen per server. So you can only be a citizen of one node, and there's so much content and so much things that are locked behind node citizenship. I'm not going to be able to create one of a whole bunch of character types so that I can theory craft on a whole bunch of stuff. I'm actually going to have to count on the community. I'm going to need to know a summoner who's trying lots of things and who's not necessarily a content creator, who will talk to me and sit down. I might even need them to provide me with videos so that I can show this is what the character looks like. This is what it looks like when you're in combat. This is the rotation you should use, all that stuff. So building that type of content is going to be more about networking than sitting around playing for hours and hours and hours and having learning about every build. So I think that's really fascinating. I'm looking forward to that part.
Yeah. And the best is getting into the community and making friends to help you, really. That's bottom line. All right, guys. So that's everything we have for today. If we didn't get to your guys' responses, we'll definitely get to them next time. So be sure to tune into next week.
Every Saturday night, guys.
Every Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Over in the States. I'm in Australia right now. Zillan's over in Texas. So we make it work for you East Coast guys too. So all the people out there. But yeah, thanks again. Did you have anything else you wanted to say before we head out?
No, go. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel.
Go follow.
If you're not subscribed already, get your ass over there and subscribe. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
Awesome, man. 6 p.m. Western. Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming out. We'll chat to you later.
Thank y'all.
Have a good one.
All right.